How many of you are meeting me for the first time? Okay, hi everyone. Okay, how many of you Google stalked me? And you still came to the presentation. That's great. So check in with your table. What challenges or worries do you have about making a living doing whatever sex education means for you? And I'm going to use that as a stalling technique to set up the next piece. Ready, set, go.
This is the what? What's that?
So for you YouTubers, this is a talk on making a living as a sex educator and figuring out how to design a business that works really well for you. Right now the tables are sharing with each other about their concerns and their fears. And now we're going to start the actual workshop portion in a few moments. Make sure everybody's getting a chance to share. I'm going to give you like 30 more seconds. Ten more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and scene. Everyone take a deep breath. And go, oh. Do that one more time. Take another deep breath. And go, oh. It's mostly for me. So welcome. Thank you so much for showing up. I am geekily excited to be giving a talk on just some of my ideas on business and some of the things I needed to figure out to design a business that was actually like happy making for me. It has been my experience as a sex geek, and I've been, like, my career got launched. Everyone do air quotes? Now do dirty air quotes. Now do creepy air quotes. So people are like, how was Reed's thing? You're like, it was okay. I'm gonna say a couple of things. I am very well aware that I am the poster child for white male privilege. I went to an Ivy League college. I'm, able. I have a couple of black belts. I'm cisgendered. Like all these things. I'm extroverted. All these things I'm aware of. It doesn't mean I'm perfect at, being inclusive. So my apologies in advance if I fuck up. I do swear. I'm sure Wyden is ecstatic about that. So I'm going to try to be as mindful as I can about certain things, and my advice is coming through my life experience. But as a geek, I've geeked out the last couple of years, last 6 years, 4 years, 6 years, on business stuff out in other parts of the world around business to try to copy and paste things that are working in other industries. Where people might be considered in positions of knowledge or authority, and seeing what we can copy and paste back into this industry. And a lot of those business events, they don't have a freaking clue about privilege. And so most of those events, while I love some of the people that run them, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you go to them because they will drive you freaking bonkers. But part of my job is to try to bring that information back and just kind of comb through it a little bit and make it a little bit more inclusive, hopefully a lot more inclusive. Because some of the events, they mean well, but there's a lot of sexism and just unexamined privilege in those things. So my career started in 2004 when I created a workshop called Cuddle Party, which was a communication workshop around non-sexual touch and affection. I launched it in Manhattan, where I was living at the time. It turned into a huge news story because New Yorkers were paying money to cuddle, and people thought the end of the world must be near. And I just got launched into the media. I had been an actor before that, and before that I was a comic book artist, but I was an actor, so I knew how to work with the media, so I was able to harness the media attention. And basically that put me, on Montel and People Magazine and all these weird things, but I got thrust, no pun intended, into the media as a spokesperson for why things are weird for people, especially around touch and intimacy. I eventually would go off to start teaching more sexy sex ed, and so I had to step away from Cuddle Party so people would still believe that it wasn't a sex cult or fun for an orgy, especially since I wanted to go teach blowjob workshops. And a lot of Americans and in other cultures couldn't reconcile that you could be non-sexual and be a sexual being at the same time. Yes?
Why didn't that catch on anywhere? Why are there not cuddle parties? There's actually thinking about that.
There was a couple in the last few months in Philly.
The
Really?
Cuddle Party organization certifies facilitators. So we have cuddle parties in 7 different countries, and they're taught in different languages. It's weird, but cool.
Oh, wow.
But people are freaking terrified.
But I feel like that should be as common as strip clubs. You should have this everywhere.
That would get flannel poles and little cuddle pole dances. It'd be great. But yeah, and again, I'm involved with Cuddle Party, but I'm not the spokesperson because the stuff I do now could be considered so highly sexualized that I just don't want to confuse people. But those are my X-Men origins of how I got to be here. And while I was, Cuddle Party was becoming world known, I was still broke. And having to, I was a bartender then, I was still doing acting, I was running Cuddle Parties. Marsha Paczynski helped me run Cuddle Parties. I credit her with a lot of the training and stuff that we did. She's an excellent sex educator as well. But basically, I was broke and struggling all the time, and then eventually had the blessing of some really smart businessmen who were friends of mine because of Cuddle Party to sit me down and be like, listen, you need to figure this out, or you're just gonna burn out, and then you won't be you anymore. And eventually I got good at this. So really what I'm gonna do today is try to shorten your learning curve so you don't have to make the mistakes I made, and just give you some ideas. If they don't resonate for you, just chuck them. You're not broken, you're not a bad business person. But if they do resonate with you, just run with them. I'm also the person who created Sex-Geeky Summer Camp. If you haven't heard of Sex-Geeky Summer Camp, this is a business school or business retreat for sex educators. It is a summer camp. There is, skinny dipping and running through the woods and people freaking out about business because we talk about tech and money and pricing. And then you go hug a tree. And then you go eat some food. And then you come back and we talk about more things. If you're interested about that, just come see me after, and there's stickers and swag up here. I think that's it. So, why are you here? We only have an hour, and there's only so much we can do. But if a couple of you want to share, what was it about this workshop that had you want to show up? Yes?
My parents constantly asking me how I'm going to make money doing this.
Yeah, got it. Can you pass her a notebook? Cool, now the hands are like, no, pick me! Yes.
Being able to get paid for my insight instead of asking for it for free.
Yeah. Power of swag. Yes.
I'm really passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm very extroverted, but I hate social media, I hate technology, and I need to learn how to do all this without doing that.
Good. No, got it. I think this is going to help. This is also me, and also, I think most of you are all teachers. Anything that I'm doing that you're like, that's genius, copy and paste, I probably ripped it off from somebody else. Oh, now there's too many hands. You back there, and then somebody from over here. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't say it.
Well, I'm finding that my dilemma is whether or not I should put on my resumes that I have experience in human sexuality. Just because of different places that I apply to, and it's hard to determine whether I'm going to turn someone off because, like, oh, she studied sex therapy, or she taught a course on sexual fantasies, and then, or if it would actually help because I could bring something different to the table.
Yeah.
I don't know how to balance.
I'm not necessarily going to be able to give you all the best advice. I'm just going to try to show you some particular ways I look at things, the filters I look at to try to understand what I should be doing and what's in my sweet spot. You, sir.
I'm a psychotherapist in private practice, and I want to be able to focus my practice on specific areas of sexuality.
Got it. Thank you for being here. We pass that back there. And then we'll do one or two more.
Well, I'm actually working on a startup business now, completely unrelated to sex though, but I would love to be able to integrate my passion for human sexuality with my passion for business as well.
Yeah, got it. And this should all, if I've done a decent job, this should apply. Who are my shy, introverted people who want to say something, but there you go. That's my.
I was going to say I'm introverted and want to find out how to integrate my passion for sexuality to business and get myself out there.
Great, thank you. Take a deep breath and go, oh, because we're about to talk about business. And that freaks people's shit out. One thing to know about me, I am intentionally using humor. I am a jackass naturally, all the time, and a dork. But I'm intentionally using humor to try to get some of the anxiety and the energy that's trapped out, and to role model that you can be this dorky and people will still invite you to talk. I can't fucking believe it. Like, I'm always flattered that anyone says yes, but if you create really good content and you're passionate about the things that work for you, and you can start hopefully implementing the things I'm about to talk about, you kind of generate what I consider exactly that. You're that person. Because you're going to bring your life into a kind of an alignment so that you're not just copy and pasting somebody else's way of doing business because they're your hero. Like, when I first met Carol Queen, I'm like, God, I gotta write books. And then I felt bad that I didn't write any books until I realized I'm not a book writer. There's a way to get a person like me to make a book, but I just don't sit down and be like, blah, words on a page or onto a keyboard. So I'm gonna give you some ideas and frameworks to hopefully have you figure out what is a sweet fit for you so that you can really rock whatever it is you're rocking out. Everyone take a deep breath. And go. And the baby making noise is just the baby being like, ah. All right, so slide. All right. This is going to be the main point always. Just for whatever business you're doing, you're always going to be educated. So the secret to sales, in my opinion, is you just educate people why they might want to buy this thing. And educate them on why they might not want to buy it, which sounds really scary, but when people who shouldn't be buying your products buy your products, they return your products or your services, and they get angry, and then they leave bad Yelp reviews. So you actually want to use education as a means of weeding people out so that you really start to find the clients or the people that, or the services that you love working with. And this is really the foot in the door, and I don't have a lot of slides, so don't be like, where's the next slide? There's like 4. This is the idea of what I call self-expression inside of business. When I talk about dating your species, when I'm talking about relationship advice, what I mean by that is a lot of people spend time trying to figure out what to wear, what to say, how to be, how to have the right job, so that they're more attractive to a potential mate. What's going on is you're not being yourself. And if you have 2 people who are both trying to attract somebody by doing what culture tells them to do, and then they happen to fall in love, 10 years later, they're not really happy because they're not being themselves. Maybe, raise your hand if you know somebody like that. Point down if you've ever done that to yourself. There you go. So this idea of we're moving in intimacy from an attraction economy to self-expression. Go be the person that makes you happiest, and then see who's attracted to that. And that's kind of dating your species. And then you swap out duration as a measurement for success with depth and honesty. And then if you figure out you need to break up after 2 years, that's a successful relationship rather than staying together for 15 and being miserable. This making sense? Now let's apply this to business. A lot of people spend a lot of time trying to attract customers. I just be myself and educate people on the things I'm interested in and the things I think they're struggling with, and then I see who comes to me. Not everybody wants the white, extroverted, 250-pound golden retriever on espresso of sex educators. They're like, get him the fuck away. They want you. But my belief is that you need to be you so that they know who to come to. And for some of you, that means you want to have a PhD at the end of your name. And the people that you really love working with need to see letters at the end of the name to feel safe. Some people are like, no, I don't want to see somebody with letters at the end of their name. And they're going to come to you. You have to figure that stuff out. But it's basing your business and your business model from a place of self-expression, not attraction, which you're swimming upstream against culture because your parents are going to tell you, you need to go into this field because that's an attractive field for making a living. Making sense? Take a deep breath. There you go. You have 30 seconds as a table to discuss any concept that seemed interesting or important to you. Ready, set, go. Hello, viewers. I hope you can hear us. I hope this is coming through well. If you want to email me any questions about things, you can email me at reid, R-E-I-D, at readaboutsex.com, or you can tweet me at readaboutsex, R-E-I-D, about sex.com. And the hashtag for this conference is hashtag careerscon, C-O-N, 2015. Five more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and see. Take a deep breath. And go. Who are my anatomy nerds that know about the vagus nerve? So when you make that kind of sound that you can feel in your chest, you're activating your vagus nerve, you're going from your parasympathetic to your sympathetic nervous system, things like that. Make more sound. I think make sound in business too. Because it's good when you have that frustrating client or customer to hang up the phone and just be like, oh. Make that a regular part of your day. All right. Just 1 or 2 people. You may or may not read notebooks, so don't think I'm bribing everybody all the time. Like a couple of concepts that were useful so far.
The being authentic and that being yourself and your self-expression instead of what's attractive to other people.
Got it. Thank you. Yep.
That just because there's people in your area that you look up to doesn't mean that you have to have your business like theirs. Like staying authentic.
Got it. Thank you. Anybody else? One more? Yep.
I feel like some of the programs that we're in and some of the things that we do just as people, because we're sitting in this room, has taught us to some extent to be educated about ourselves, but sometimes we're missing the education of business.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. Like I know how to be me, but I don't know how to build a business.
Got it. So we'll use that as the segue. One more deep breath. And go. The food's hitting people now. Your blood sugar is starting to tank. So just aware that if you need to stand up and be like, then do that. I won't think it's weird. I think it's cool. Okay, so here, some simple ideas to start with. What is your favorite teaching style? Not learning style, but like how do you like to give people or share information with people? I love being in front of a live audience. I can think better when I'm doing it. Some of my best ideas I pull out of my butt in the middle of a workshop. Writing, not so much. So literally, I have ideas up my butt. That's a great concept. So somebody tweet that. He has ideas up his butt. So the idea for you is like, well, to the extent that you know yourself now, because it might change or shift over time, like what do you think your top ways of sharing information? Look at how you share information already or how you interact on social media. For those of you who love writing long, detailed posts to people, you might be a blogger or a writer because you're already doing it. And then you just have to figure out how to monetize blogging, and it is possible. For those of you who are like, you can't wait to do PowerPoints and be up in front of a room, that's lean into your strengths, the things that already don't give you resistance, that already thrill you. So just take 10 seconds and write down some ideas on what you think your favorite teaching styles are. You can always go back and do these exercises again. This class will leave you feeling a little incomplete, but inspired to go home and dig deeper. And now, just because it's useful, write down 2 or 3, or maybe even just 1, teaching style that you do not like. You should not be doing that. For some of you, it's like, don't put me in front of a room. I am angry, and I will not like public speaking ever. But you'll write a gazillion books because you're like it's just perfect for you and your brain. So what's a teaching style you don't like? Me, it's writing. You didn't guess already.
Are there any other options?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's call out some. What do you think of some teaching styles?
I know I can't teach in school because I don't want restrictions around what I can and can't talk about.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Say it, show it, have them do it.
Say it, show it, have them do it. So kinesthetic teaching, and maybe in live events. Back there.
Jokes and humor.
Jokes and humor.
One-on-one.
One-on-one. That's great for coaching.
I've read.
What?
Outdoor.
Outdoors.
I've read.
That would be amazing.
Book writing is the most natural thing.
Great. That's awesome.
Very small groups.
Very small groups. So group coaching or group teaching in small groups. Who's somebody who's like, put me in a stadium? Right? Like there are people that are like, I want 40,000 people. And some people be like, that's ego. But then you're like, no, I'm like, that's amazing. But somebody else is going to be like, fuck that. No. You know, so there's all different kinds. Who likes being interviewed? I built a lot of my career just doing podcasts, being on other people's podcasts. You don't have to be a podcaster. You just have to be on other people's podcasts. That's okay. Other things, who likes to interview people? Podcasting might be your thing. Or interviewing people and then turning that content into books or something like that. There's all different kinds of ways. What was, okay, so take a deep breath. Because I only have an hour and I just want to spend forever. So now, think about who are the people you love teaching. A common mistake a lot of sex educators make is like, well, who's your audience? Who do you want to work with? And they're like, everyone. I want to change the world. And I'm like, okay, tough to market to the world. I applaud you. I suffer from that same situation. But think about, try to narrow it down for now. You can always change it later. What is the demographic that you would get up at 5 in the morning for, or go to bed at 5 in the morning for, 6 to 7 days a week, and only be a little bit cranky? That means when the alarm goes off, you're like, ah. But the minute you think of who you're serving, you're like, okay, let's do this. Who are those demographics? You can write down like 1 or 2. Who are the demographics that you would get up at 5 in the morning for, or stay up till 5 in the morning for to serve? 6 to 7 days a week and still not be completely cranky. 5 more seconds. And it's perfectly right to just write down, I do not know. Not knowing is a very high state of awareness. And now write down at least one answer for who should you not, or whom should you not be working with. The demographic where you automatically become Cranky Pants Johnson. And you're just so like, I should never, and tell your friends, never let me work with this demographic. And again, it doesn't have to be PC, and this is where it gets really tricky, because we want to be inclusive. But if you support your fellow sex workers, there will be demographics that get served, because those will be their sweet spots, their strengths in demographics. You do not have to serve everybody. You trying to serve everybody is partly why you will fail in business. Again, these are just my opinions. Take a deep breath. There you go. All right, so now you've got a minute per table to share anything that you just learned about yourself or that was neat. And I apologize for not having more time, but if we have more time left over at the end, we'll use it for more sharing. Ready, set, go.
Yeah. That's
But that's good because if everybody was like me, we'd already share. Yeah, I said not. That's always like my go-to
Five more seconds. Five, four, three, two, one, and see. Take a deep breath. There you go. One or two people share something that's been useful or an aha moment. Anybody? Everyone's stunned. Nothing's useful.
I realized that from my experience working in sex shops, I really love working with middle-aged women. Like, they're my favorite demographic. And they're not necessarily who I've always targeted myself to or who I wanted to be working with, but I love them. I really do it.
Got it. And can you just see how like Ashton kind of lights up when she talks about middle-aged women? Like that's important because what ends up happening is you start teaching in the ways that are exciting for you and easy, right? That you get energy from doing, and you start reaching out to the demographic that makes you excited, you feel passionate about. And the next part is you start solving the problems and creating solutions that excite you and that they also need. Then when you get clear about how to put that into words and somebody asks you what you do, like I help sex educators figure out how to make a living so they don't have to be frustrated and broke and that they can reach more people and that we can change the planet. I start getting excited. I actually, some people might be like, back off, man. That's a lot of excitement. But I'm actually thrilled by talking about what I do. So I become thrilling. And that kind of excitement is and you bring a couple other things into alignment. I think that's kind of it creates charisma. Even if you're quiet and shy, because you can be powerfully quiet. And you can be dorkily quiet. I'm living proof. Yes.
Can you give some examples, like, of sex educators that you're like helping? You need, like, you're giving direction to, and you're like, do this, do this.
Yeah.
Like, who? What people?
Well, how many people know who Nina Hartley is? So Nina's a friend of mine, and I give a lot of friend advice to people too. I won't share about people who hire me for client work because I think there's a client privilege thing, but Nina wouldn't mind me sharing. I mean, Carol Queen, we talk about business. Like I talk about business with everybody because I want to know what's going on. And then if you go on Facebook to Sex-Geeky Summer Camp, you can see pictures of the people that are there, whether they're toy store owners or other educators out there. I don't want to name drop, that just feels weird. But Nina would be somebody who's, trying to figure out, how do you make a living when you retire, or you're phasing out of one kind of career. For her, it was being an adult performer, and then being more of an educator. She's always been an educator, but like how do you switch careers? Some of you might be in academia or work for an organization, and then now you want to go pro, but start your own business. And the reason I talk about 5 a.m. to go to sleep at or get up at is if you're going to start your own business and be an entrepreneur, those are kind of the hours for a while until you get out of startup phase. And one question to ask yourself is, do you get more excited by hustling for your own paycheck? Or do you get more excited by somebody else cutting your paycheck? That's a legitimate question. Some of you should start your own businesses. And then some of you shouldn't be working for other people. Guess which one I am? Oh my Lord, I would feel so sad for the person that actually hired me and brought me into the organization. I would be a horrible fit. So for me, entrepreneurship works great. And as an actor and all these other things before, like I was used to hustling to pay my rent. So it just still made sense. But then it's how do you hustle smart? Yep.
So kind of teaching people how to market themselves?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
This will all start to make sense hopefully in a few more minutes. And then we only have half an hour left. Nina Hartley? Anybody else have an aha moment from that last segment? Yep.
We were kind of talking about how it related to Feminista Jones's keynote about being an ally, and instead of saying, how can I help you? Saying like, do you need help? And seeing where we're most needed. So when I was thinking about places where I probably shouldn't work, I was thinking about my skills and how certain environments where who I am and who I am as an educator would not directly translate very well, but where I can be strongest with my strengths with populations that I think I can do the most work.
Mm-hmm. So some of you, your calling might be nonprofits. There's lots of different business models to look at, but then you figuring out I love working for nonprofits. Like you being follow that calling, and then we just have to figure out how you make a living at it. And then if you're trying to make a living working with populations and answering questions that make you miserable, and doing it in teaching styles that make you miserable, that makes no sense to me. Because then you'll burn out faster, your quality of life will suck, and then we'll eventually lose a good sex educator. Take a deep breath. And I go, oh. So now, with that demographic, just pick one demographic for today. What are some of the questions or the problem-solving solution things that you like to do for them? What is that? If you could pick one or two things to help them with, what is it? Brainstorm or write some things down. I'll give you 20 seconds. And if you're completely, flabbergasted and writer's block, that's okay too. Just write down, I don't know yet. Just keep writing, I don't know yet, until something comes through. What are the problems that you love solving, the solutions you love providing? It's oh my goodness, couples who have somebody who has spinal cord injury. And you know that thing because if somebody asks a question at a cocktail party, from across the room you hear it. You're like, what did you just say? Spinal cord injuries and intimacy? And you just can't stop. The words just start coming out. You should ask for consent before you start helping people, but you're your nervous system just lights up because you're I know the answers to these things. For some of you who are geeks, you know the answers to everything. And you get excited by anything geeky, I understand. But let's just focus it in on questions and problems you love solving for that demographic. And now take 5 or 10 seconds to write down, if you have the answer, a problem or a solution that you don't like having to solve or deal with. It's either not in your strength or you just don't like it. It doesn't light you up. It might not be politically correct. It's okay. It will be the passion for somebody else. You're not a bad person because you have preferences. You're not uninvolved because there are demographics or problems that don't thrill you. It's okay. Take a deep breath. And I go, oh. You have 30 seconds to share at your table. Ready, set, go.
Oh, I'm gonna try some.
10 more seconds.
Yes, I thought was here. Did you win that? Okay, don't worry. Don't worry.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and see. Take a deep breath. And go. And then, however is comfortable for you, whether you want to sit or stand up or whatever, just kind of shake out and just make some sound like. Blah, 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 blah. And now I'm gonna teach you a little qigong tai chi thing. So if you can, because everyone has different abilities, stick out your arm and just make a little cup with your other hand and just kind of like smack your arm. And then do the other arm and just send it positive energy and love. And then take a deep breath. There you go. We might be over the dessert hump, where all the sugar just takes out your entire audience. This is useful if you speak to live groups and they put you right after lunch. Know this will happen. This is a studied phenomenon. Like about 15, 60 minutes after people settle in, the pasta salad hits. It's a known thing. You have to bring whatever energy you have to get them like above tree level, because they will start to snooze, and then get them to do something ideally kinesthetic or whatever. Like go research neat little teaching like tidbits and then copy and paste them into how you do things. One more deep breath. And I go. So the next piece, and again, it's hard to give you all this stuff in an hour, which is why, watch what I'm doing. I have an email sign up. So after, give me your email and I'll sign you up for my sex educator list, and you'll just get like business geeky stuff. You'll also get an invite every once in a while to go to camp or any other online products I have. Camp's a live event, but then there's a digital version of camp called Sex-Geek School for Gifted Sex Geeks. For my comic book geeks, you're like, that's like Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters for the X-Men. And I'm like, yes, it is. Because that lights me up. And people are like, I hate that name. I'm like, I don't care. It makes me happy. You don't have to take that course. So like, again, like I'm role modeling, like you design things that make you excited. And then you'll start to get better at marketing. Because what you do then is we do what?
Always be educating.
So you just teach people how to solve their problems, the demographic that you love. And then you can figure out other ways to reach them. But the easy one, let's say that you take those, you came up with 2 problems you love solving. Go write an article on each. Or tape a little 5-minute, YouTube video on each. Whatever teaching style works for you. If you love being interviewed, find out what podcasts target those demographics and invite yourself onto those podcasts. And then you invite them to go back to your website and give them your email so that you can keep sending them information that will transform their world. Now, there's a lot of big assumptions there, that your demographic has access to email, that they even read email, or that they use social media. So this bit of advice, if your demographics, your populations don't use digital, it's a little bit trickier because ultimately for some of you, you invite them to buy your products, which you've created, to help them. And then you just educate them on the products as to whether this is a good fit for them or not. And then what I like to do is I have a bunch of different pricings for things. Like I have a $7 product, I have a 27, I have a 47, and then people just buy what they can afford for certain things. The deeper or the more complex the solution, charge. So with Sex-Geeky Summer Camp, because most sex educators are not rolling in the dough, I had to figure out how to make that affordable and still have it be sustainable. And it took me a couple of years. I wanted to do this years ago, but I didn't know enough about how to make it work. And I knew that if I launched it and didn't have it dialed in right, it would just disappear eventually. So for camp, with this demographic, and this isn't an advertisement for camp, but I'm educating you. I'm being meta now because I can teach you a particular business model because this is a business class, and I'll just use camp because camp gets to be like this holographic representation of how I apply things. So this is where it will be tricky for some of you sales-wise. You're like, I'm teaching them to buy my stuff, that's sales. I'm like, yes, get over that and just create amazing content for them and then give them ways to get to the information. If you want to watch all 300 or 400 YouTube videos of mine, they're all free. That has almost everything I teach around relationships and intimacy. But if you want to just do a 6-week program with little 10-minute videos every day and homework pages and worksheets, and you want to invite your partner or your best friend to do the course with you, that's going to cost you money. Does this make sense? So when you start building out what in the business world they call your back end, which is really fun to say as a sex educator, is when you have a well-developed back end and ways for people to find out about it, you start building a business, and hopefully a business that makes you happy. And then you just educate people, and you design that there's a lot of stuff that you give, most of it you give away for free. Everything I teach is on YouTube, but then I create things for people who need more structure so that they can win in the learning style that works for them. So as you get good at this, like let's say you do YouTube videos because you just love being in front of a camera and you just can't get enough of it, and you like live stream, and I'm like, I'm gonna Periscope, I'm gonna do this, whatever that is. Then you just have a friend or somebody transcribe the video, and then you edit it a little bit or have a friend edit it, so now you have an article on your blog. And even if you work with demographics that can't access that information, you should still put that stuff on the internet so people who are looking for you as an expert will find you. And then if you do a little bit of that every day over time, then for me, 6 years later after I left Cuddle Party, like I don't know how people find me. They just find me because I have stuff out there all over the place where people quote me now, which is weird. Or they talk about me on a podcast and I've never been on that podcast, which is neat, but weird. And you just build that over time. And that's been for me like it took me 10 years to start making a decent living. And by decent, I mean health, being able to afford health insurance, having 401k. I never had a 401k. I declared bankruptcy in 1999 or something like that. So like, if you're somebody who's like beating yourself up because you're behind on rent and stuff, I've been there. Try not to beat yourself up. You're not a bad person because making a living being a sex educator is tough. Take your breath. So I'm in this place. We're going to go to questions in a minute. But just so you know this about me, okay? Everyone thinks like, Reed, look at Reed. I am insecure in here. So everyone point your head and repeat after me. Up here is a bad neighborhood. I get mugged up here. Okay? So when I'm teaching and everyone's looking at me, I all of a sudden start thinking, because my mom was alcoholic and she was awesome when she wasn't drinking, not so awesome when she was. I start hearing a version of her voice just saying, I'm full of shit, you're wasting everybody's time. And I just think you're all being really polite because I'm up here in front. So here's the module for this, because I'm making it a teaching moment. When you figure out whatever you're, because it's like hamsters crawl out of dark places and start running on squeaky hamster wheels, and I can't hear you anymore. When your hamsters attack, tell somebody you have the hamsters. Or brain weasels, or whatever you want to call them, okay? And then make a request that you think will help or that triggered the release of the hamsters in the first place. So I'm worried that I'm wasting your time, but if I just sat up here and was like, please reassure me, it would be weird. But as a teaching moment, I can just ask, what was the most useful thing for you in this workshop so far? And then I'll use that to get rid of some hamsters, and then we'll move on to questions and answers. The reason this module is useful is it might be useful for some of your clients, because when they're in bed and all of a sudden they're taking too long to orgasm or this or that, then they're in their head, they're like, oh my God, my partner's face is gonna fall off, what now? Which is pushing them further and further from orgasm. You can teach them the hamster module where they're like, tap, 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 I'm in my head about this taking too long, are we good? And they can say yes or no. And then even if they don't get an answer, just speaking and using their voice will usually lessen some of the hamster assault. Make sense?
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. So one or two things that were just like useful.
My mom's always said, do what you love and the money will follow, which it's nice in thought, but not great in reality. But you had actual like concrete things for me.
Cool. Thank you. And when you start answering those problems, eventually you start designing products. And for some of you, the reason you're not making a living is you're not inviting anybody to buy anything from you. And then for those of you who work within organizations, there's a way to kind of adopt that to organizations as well. One thing.
I feel like I don't have the opportunity to think of the audiences I don't want to work with and like the people I don't want to solve their problems, and like writing that down like makes me feel like I can own it and not just like, oh, I want these people like not these people, but it's like admitting that there's like a group of people that I can let go of. It's like a big relief to me. So. Cool.
Awesome. Great. Anybody else have a burning one that they want to share? It's suspiciously quiet back here. Anyone? Anyone?
I had an aha moment.
Uh-huh.
I had an aha moment,
Yes.
which I don't know if I should share or not, but I'm sitting here and we're talking about how we do what we do, and I do best talk about myself, and that's how I've been putting myself out there, and yet not everybody in my life knows everything about myself, and I'm realizing that I'm gonna have to face that and deal with that if I really want to move forward.
Yeah.
So it's a huge hurdle, but knowing and realizing that that has to be done is big.
And also, and just thank you for that, you get to figure out where your privacy settings are for you and your career. And this is, I mean, maybe it's not too much information, it's all over the internet. I'm very promiscuous, and I'm queer, and I'm poly, and as an extroverted white guy who's super slutty, the easiest way, in my opinion, to make people feel safe was to just never hide it. I don't brag about it. I make fun of myself a lot. But then people just know what they're getting into. But that works for my privacy settings. Like, I don't have kids that I know of. Like, all these things, you know, I don't feel unsafe on the internet. Like, so you have to answer that question for yourself too. Do not make the mistake of thinking you have to be as out as I am because Reed's successful, which is kind of like copying somebody else's business model. You have to figure out what works well for you and your nervous system. Don't create a business or a public persona that freaks out your reptile brain. It's counterproductive. Take a deep breath. And go, oh. All right, so questions. Thank you for taking care of my hamsters. Questions? We have like 10 minutes. Yes?
How did you get to the point of being able to value yourself and your work in a way that didn't make you feel shitty about yourself? Like asking for what you're worth.
Okay, great question. So first off, understand, if you know me, people have already come up to me today and they're like, "Are you okay?" I feel like a complete imposter. I get so nervous because I don't think I belong here. And I'm like, oh my God, and I can go down the rabbit hole of like, I will never examine my privilege enough. And I will wig myself out. So there's a part of me that doesn't value me at all. And so the quick answer, my mom and dad loved each other very much. They couldn't communicate worth a shit. Eventually they ended up living in their van, my mom an alcoholic and my dad a workaholic. And it was fucked. I will be damned if anyone has to go through what my mom and dad went through. So the answer is, I don't even have to value myself. I just have to know and get really clear about why I'm doing this. And that, from my demographic, is more powerful than my view of myself. That's how I hacked it. And over time, I actually am starting to believe that I'm actually doing something decent for humanity. Now, you might have to, you could just go do some emotional tapping or eye movement stuff or get some therapy. You don't have to go the long road like I did, right? There are other tools out there for you to work through stuff, but know that there's a big part of me that feels like I'm doing a horrible, horrible job and that I will never be enough. And I just get really clear that I'm not even going to be able to stop myself. Because what I saw my mom and dad go through, I just will not stand for other people having to go through that. And that's why I'm so big on this, like, dialing it into what the things that make you happiest and the things that you can plug into, because that kind of power will get you through those dark nights when you're just exhausted. And reach out to each other for support. Don't try to do this alone. And I've got 6 fingers pointing back at me. Trust me, I know. Because there's somebody being like, you hypocrite. And I'm like, I know. But like, use your community to support you and get better and better and better at self-care. That is like huge. Yeah.
Can you show us your website and why you have what you have there?
Oh, good Lord. I have so much website shame. It's amazing. So let me try to, because I don't know if I can get online there. This is the PowerPoint. So this is my thing before we end. Okay. If you're curious about camp, or even if you never want to come to camp, I'm trying to figure out if I should have it on the West Coast or the East Coast. Well, of course. But watch what happens with this. Go to the website and go to vote. And then watch how the website behaves when you're voting, because it says it will put you on my email list. So it's another way for me to engage people, invite them transparently to give me their email so I can keep sending them good business advice. In this instance, for you, you could create a voting thing or a survey for your demographic and have them engage with you and share what their opinions are. Read the surveys, because they're giving you marketing gold there. And in another talk, we'll talk about marketing. Because you want to use the words they use. Actually, I'll teach you now. You want to use the words they use to get their attention. No one is sitting at home awake at 3 a.m. being like, having relationship issues, being like, if only my partner and I were less heteronormative. Things would be so much better. No, they don't use those words. We use those words. And we think those are the words we should use. So that we write a subject is like, you know, do you wish you were less heteronormative? And then you don't realize where nobody clicks on that headline ever. So when you do surveys and things like that, you can invite them to tell you their problems and their challenges. Pay attention to the words they use, because those are the words that you use to catch their attention. Does this make sense? So now we're just going all over the place. So do you have that ability to do that? If it doesn't work, it's okay. So if you want to go and vote for camp, and then you'll get other alerts and business advice. So, and that's basically the always be educating. You're just inviting people to get more information and to get a sense of you. One of the reasons I do YouTube videos is I like being in front of the camera. I'm comfortable from my acting background. But then I can also, like, people get a sense of me, and maybe they like what I have to teach, and they just like my style or whatever. All right. Other questions while we do that? Yes?
I'm very much interested in entrepreneurship, and at the same time, in terms of entrepreneurship, I'm very much concerned in terms of legality and ethics and how do you protect yourself when creating a business model.
Yeah.
What recommendations or resources or advice do you have?
Sure. Your small, wherever you live, your small business, there's I forget what it's called, but it's like a small business association. They usually give free trainings and stuff like that.